Okay, so have you ever thought about how we need a massive global team up to tackle some of the huge challenges facing our planet?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the world of geosciences is taking that idea to a whole new level.
For real.
Yeah, with this thing called the International Geo-Scientists Network, IGSN for short.
IGSN. Okay. I've heard whispers of this.
They're basically aiming to connect researchers from all over the world, like every corner of the Earth, to work together like never before. And lucky for us, they've put out this super detailed launch document that lays out their grand vision. That's what we'll be diving into today.
Sounds like a fascinating read. And knowing this field, probably a bit ambitious too.
Oh, totally. They're not messing around. It's not just about sharing research papers or anything like that. We're talking about creating a global knowledge base for all things geoscience.
Okay, now that's a game changer. What kind of impact are they hoping to have with this?
Well, they're aiming big. Think. Climate change, natural disasters, you name it. They want to use this network to find solutions for some of the most pressing issues we're facing today.
It's about time someone took a serious swing at these global problems. Most efforts I've seen tend to be, well, a bit too focused on one specific area.
Exactly. And that's where IGSN comes in. Their document starts off strong, highlighting how many of the problems we're dealing with just don't care about borders.
Right, like pollution, resource depletion, even the spread of diseases. These things transcend political boundaries.
Exactly. They specifically call out things like rising sea levels, deforestation, and access to clean water. These are massive challenges that extend far beyond any single nation's backyard.
It's all connected, and you need that global perspective to even begin to wrap your head around it, let alone solve it.
And that's where the document really zeroes in on the importance of geosciences. They're basically arguing that it holds the key to understanding and tackling these interconnected problems.
Which makes sense. You've got geology, oceanography, meteorology, all these different branches of geosciences offer a piece of the puzzle.
Right. So they're saying to tackle these global issues, you need all those different areas of expertise working together, sharing insights. But before we jump into the how, I think it would be helpful to clarify what they even mean by geosciences. Some of our listeners might not be geologists.
Good point. It's a broad term.
So what are we actually talking about bringing together here?
Basically, any field that studies the Earth. Geologists study the Earth's composition, the rocks, the minerals, plate tectonics, all that good stuff. Oceanographers, on the other hand, are diving into the mysteries of the ocean currents, marine life, the seafloor. Meteorologists, they're all about the atmosphere and weather patterns. And then you've got environmental scientists looking at the impact of humans on all these systems.
Okay, so it's about bringing all of that together. That's a lot of brain power.
It is, and that's kind of the point to create this network where all of these experts can connect and collaborate. Because you can't really understand climate change just by looking at the atmosphere, right? You need to factor in the oceans, the land, human activity, the whole shebang.
Right. I see how pulling all of those diverse fields together could be a real game changer. So they've nailed down the why behind IGSN, these enormous interconnected problems that need a global approach. But how does the document propose they actually build this network? How do you even begin to wrangle all those scientists and all that data?
Well, they start by tackling a major roadblock, the issue of data silos. Right now, so much valuable information is scattered across the globe, locked away in different institutions, countries, different formats. It's a mess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like trying to assemble a puzzle where the pieces are spread out all over the world. You need a way to bring it all together.
So what's their solution for breaking down those walls and getting everyone on the same page, data-wise?
It's multifaceted, but the core idea is open access and standardization. Imagine a world where scientists, no matter where they are, can easily access and understand data from all over the globe.
Oh, interesting. So like creating a universal language for geological data?
Exactly. It's about making sure everyone is speaking the same language, data-wise. That way, researchers don't waste time deciphering different formats or struggling to compare apples to oranges.
Which actually reminds me that they use this word interoperability a lot in the document. I'm guessing that's pretty key here.
It's absolutely essential. Interoperability is all about making sure that these different systems and data sets can actually talk to each other.
Because it's not enough to just have the data. You need to be able to analyze it, compare it, and actually understand what it all means.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's just a jumble of numbers. Imagine trying to understand a complex global issue with only fragments of information.
It's like having all these brilliant minds working with only pieces of the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that's where IGSN comes in. They're trying to provide the missing links, the infrastructure, for a truly global research ecosystem.
So they're essentially building the foundation for scientists to collaborate on a global scale.
Yeah, and it's not just about advancing our understanding of the Earth either.
Right. They're talking about actually influencing global policy too, right?
Exactly. They see this interconnected data, this global network, as a way to give policymakers the hard evidence they need.
Okay, so it's about informing policy decisions with solid data, not just like opinions or gut feelings.
Exactly. It's about having experts from all over the world analyzing this massive data set, working together to get a clearer picture of the challenges.
So we're talking in a more holistic view, one that takes into account all the different factors at play.
Precisely. It's not just about having more data. It's about having the right data, analyzed in the right way, to actually answer the important questions.
And the document highlights some really interesting ways this could play out in the real world. Like, they specifically talk about disaster response as a key area where IGSN could make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. That's a prime example of why this network is so crucial.
Because right now, when a disaster strikes, it's often up to individual countries or organizations to respond, right?
Right, and that can lead to, well, a less coordinated response. Take volcanic eruptions, for example.
Okay, yeah, those are unpredictable and can have widespread impacts.
Exactly. But imagine if you had geologists, seismologists, and meteorologists from all over the world, all sharing real-time data.
That could make a huge difference.
Right, you could potentially predict eruptions with greater accuracy, track ash clouds, issue more effective warnings to people in the path of danger.
Essentially, a more coordinated and effective response, all thanks to data sharing.
Exactly. The document actually mentions a case study where early warning systems, based on shared geological data, helped save thousands of lives during a volcanic eruption.
Wow, that's incredible. It really shows how this interconnected approach can have a tangible impact, going from data sharing to potentially saving lives. But let's be real, building something this ambitious can't be easy, right?
Oh, of course not. Creating a truly global network like this comes with its own set of challenges, and the document acknowledges that.
What are some of the biggest hurdles they'll need to overcome?
Well, for starters, there's funding. Building and maintaining a global data sharing platform that requires serious financial resources. Then there's the question of long-term sustainability, making sure the network has the support it needs to thrive.
Okay, so keeping the lights on is a big one. But what about the human side of things? Getting everyone on board, working together effectively, that can't be easy either, right?
It's definitely a huge undertaking. You've got language barriers, cultural differences in how research is conducted, and potentially even political sensitivities to navigate.
It's like they're trying to build a global community from scratch while also tackling these massive scientific and logistical challenges.
That's a great way to put it. And that actually brings us to another key aspect. The document emphasizes the importance of the human element in all of this.
It's a massive human endeavor on top of everything else.
It really is. And the document actually dives into that. They talk about setting up these mentorship programs, especially for like early career scientists who might be working in places where they don't have a huge network.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're thinking about those researchers who might be kind of isolated, maybe in a developing country, and how to connect them with leading experts in their field from all over the world.
Okay, so like breaking down those barriers and giving them access to a global support system.
Exactly. And it's not just about like technical knowledge either. It's about sharing experiences, building those connections, creating a sense of community.
Right, because science can be a very collaborative field, but it can also feel very siloed sometimes.
Absolutely. And they actually take it a step further. The document also talks about these cross-border training opportunities, joint research projects, even support for publishing research collaboratively.
Oh, wow. So they're really trying to foster a sense of shared purpose, a global community within the geosciences.
Exactly. Because as we've been talking about, these challenges, they're global challenges. They require a global response.
And that sense of shared purpose, that global community, it's not just a feel-good thing, right? It actually makes the science stronger, more effective.
Exactly. When you have people from different backgrounds, different parts of the world, all bringing their unique perspectives to the table, you're more likely to come up with really innovative solutions.
Right. More brains, more ideas, more creativity. It's like that saying, two heads are better than one, but on a global scale.
Exactly. So it's about tapping into that collective intelligence, that global network of expertise to solve these really complex problems.
Okay, so they've got big ambitions. They're acknowledging the challenges. But bottom line, do you think they can pull this off? Is IGSN the real deal?
It's definitely a bold vision, And the document doesn't shy away from the fact that it's going to be a journey, you know. But reading through it, I do get this strong sense of optimism, like they truly believe this is possible.
And that this kind of global collaboration is essential if we're going to tackle these huge challenges.
Exactly. They're not naive to the hurdles, but they're facing them head on with this really inspiring sense of purpose. They acknowledge that it's going to take a lot of, well, flexibility.
Trial and error, adapting along the way.
Right. It's not like they have all the answers figured out beforehand. It's more like they are setting out on this journey with a solid roadmap, but also with the understanding that they'll need to adjust course as they go.
So it's an ongoing experiment in global collaboration, which is kind of exciting.
It really is, and I think that's what makes IGSN so interesting. It represents a new way of thinking about how we solve global problems.
Moving away from that siloed approach and embracing collaboration on a massive scale.
Exactly. And if they're successful, who knows, maybe this could be a model for other fields too.
Right. Imagine the possibilities if we could connect the world's experts in healthcare, education, technology.
It's mind-blowing. The potential for positive change is pretty much limitless. But for now, IGSN is leading the charge, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
It really is. So for our listeners who have been with us on this deep dive into IGSN, what's the key takeaway? What's the one thing we want them to walk away remembering?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that the challenges facing our planet, they're interconnected, they're complex, and they require us to work together.
No more silos, no more working in isolation. We're all in this together.
Exactly. And IGSN offers this really powerful model for how we can break down those barriers, share knowledge, and really harness the collective intelligence of the global scientific community.
It's about recognizing that we can achieve so much more when we work together, share our knowledge, and collaborate towards a common goal.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive, but don't worry, the conversation doesn't end here.
Definitely not.
If you're as intrigued by IGSN as we are, be sure to check out the links in our show notes. You can explore their website, learn more about their initiatives, and maybe even find ways to get involved.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe you'll be part of the generation that finally figures out how to make global collaboration the norm, not the exception.
Now that's a goal worth striving for.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.